What's up everybody, it's Adam again, and today I want to talk about Spyro the Dragon for the PlayStation 1. So Spyro the Dragon is running Spyro the Dragon's a really fun, basic, charming platformer from the early 90s, and this is just a great time. It really gets that feeling of early 90s third-party PlayStation games battling for who could be the mascot of the PlayStation. And I gotta say, all in all, Spyro blows Crash Bandicoot out of the water in all forms except for Crash Team Racing. And maybe Crash 3, I don't know, it's argumentative, but really though, this is just a great time. It has a really basic 90s story. Some dragons are getting interviewed by a newscaster named Bob, and the dragons are totally throwing shade at Gnasty Gnorc, and they call him like an ugly, stinky, disgusting, like, just a filthy, dirty ogre or whatever, so he gets really mad and blasts them with his intergalactic space scepter laser thing that turns dragons into statues. Really makes no sense, but it's that charmingly, it doesn't make any sense 90s cartoon nonsense on Saturday morning at like 6 a.m. before school somehow, even though it's Saturday. Plot that I really like, and I think it really fits together. This game is a collectathon. It's not a hard collectathon. It's actually pretty easy. Basically, the dragons, you free them all just by touching the little pedestals that the dragons are on. You collect these eggs from these blue filthy guys that run away, and they're like covered in wrap or whatever. You find a whole bunch of treasure, and basically treasure's either just lying around or it's inside enemies or something. I'm not sure, but basically you kill the enemies, you get the treasure. There's a set amount in every single level for everything. It doesn't repeat, so once you collect the treasure the first time or the statue, you don't collect them again. It's not honestly too bad. There's not really much else to do besides the eggs, the dragons, the treasure. It's really just those are the three pivotal things, really. Everything else is just basic here and there, nothing really extravagant, extra lives, the jazz like that. The basic controls are really simple yet very effective. All you basically do is X to jump, X to again to glide. You can ram or you can blow fire. Those are basically all your controls, and if you want to get technical with it, you can roll, strafe roll, but most of the time you really don't need to strafe roll to avoid enemy attacks. You can really get by with just those three fundamental abilities. It really gets the job done. They give you, it's not like Crash 1 where they give you kind of a limitation, like it almost has to be perfect on those jumps to get them right or else you're gonna lose it. They give you plenty of space, but not too much where it feels like, they're expecting you to lose or die, so they give you like, a lot of leeway. It's a baby game that isn't a baby game. I will say that the worlds are vastly different, and I really enjoyed that. One thing they do a lot is, every level is different. That's how games should be for the most part. They should all have their unique feel to them, but one thing about Spyro that sets it apart, I think, is the way the design. Some are very fundamental in concept, and some are much more complex and seem much better. But the way the sky canvas is colored, the way the music goes with the area, the way every enemy is basically the same enemy, more say maybe on a skeletal polygon basis, but when it comes to the actual design, or I'm sorry, not polygons, but the skeleton that's underneath, they may be very similar. But when it comes to the outer skin they're wearing, they're all vastly different. That meets the feeling and the aura of the area you're in. Some worlds get really basic as you go farther out. It almost seems like they lost either the creativity, or maybe they're running out of space on the disc or time. Maybe even they're running out of money, something like that along the lines. But I will say that the farther you get into the game, the less creative the worlds get. They get shorter with more treasure to find. So you're kind of like having to jump through more loops to get the treasure, basically to expand out the time you have there to make it seem like it's as long as the levels. But with time, you can kind of see that they're losing steam as it goes on. Like at the beginning was really kicking it, but as you get farther out, level design becomes much more simpler. Design in some of the I'd say like environment becomes much more simple. Less polygons are necessary. Things become more blockish in nature, stuff like that. Most importantly though, I think of the whole game, aside from it being a bunch of collectathon fun, I think the most important thing of this game is the soundtrack. The soundtrack for this game, Jesus, some of these worlds have just an amazingly campy, charming, over-the-top 90s. It's almost like they had like a Disney style to what's going on here. I really like what's going on in some of these later levels. Just there will be times where you're just going, and then out of nowhere the music higher volume raises itself, and then it just swells, and you're like, oh my gosh, what a combination. And they use like out of the box instruments too, like marimbas, xylophones, a mixture of sax, tuba, jazz. It's really interesting compilation of music. I think the score is honestly the best aspect of this whole game, and it's not like the rest of the aspects of the game are lower. It's just the score is really up there. I really enjoyed it. Shoot, I'll just it's great. Just listen. I 100%ed this game, and the interesting thing about this game is it actually goes up to 120% completion. So after I've gotten everything as you go, I would not stop until a level was complete to 100%, and then I would go on to the next one. I made it all the way to the very last world, which is the Gnasty world, and then after you get to the Gnasty world, there's a dragon there that tells you after you beat the final level, come back when you have 100% completion, which I did immediately. So he's like, okay, well, cool, man, you're here. Welcome aboard. And it opened up a last final world, which has a lot of treasure, and it has like 2,000 or 20. I don't remember how much is in there exactly. It'll show in the video probably when this is all said and done. But by the end of it, basically this last world is full of nothing but treasure and a couple of enemies that you basically have to either ram or breathe fire on to get them to give up a key, which will let you ascend to more. There's some doors that are locked, and I guess the higher the altitude of the door that's unlocked, the higher you can fly. And what's most important about this level is unlimited gliding's unlocked. So for, the whole game you've been able to jump and then just glide a short distance, or from whatever distance you're going for it, a downward angle, but from this point on you have unlimited flight. It's really good. I highly enjoyed it. There were other levels where you had semi-unlimited flight, but those were on a timed trial. It's a weird, these weird flight levels that they have in every world is kind of like they put you off rails. You're free to fly wherever you want, but you have a certain amount of time to either fly through some rings, flame up some torches, flame up some bad guys, but you have to do it in a set amount of time, so you don't really have time to explore. But the very end of the game, once you get 100%, allows you to have unlimited flight on this last world, and it's just great to finally just get time to explore. I kind of wish that they unlocked this feature for everything, like all the time. Like you could just break the game. Doesn't seem like that's a possibility. The version I'm playing was on PlayStation 3, and although that was really good, with the emulation, for the most part there were some slowdowns. It's weird because this game isn't very taxing, but at certain parts you could hear the music have a little difficulty playing. Maybe there would be some frames would skip here and there, but it would usually not last more than a second or two. But still, it's just kind of weird. It makes me kind of wonder what if there was maybe something specific playing on a specific sound chip or whatever's going on there. But I will say, playing the PlayStation 3 version, you'd hope would be a little more stable, but I'd probably want to replay this original hardware, which I have, but I prefer the ease of use with the HDMI and the updated controller scheme. But I gotta say, all in all, rating this game is a good game. Spyro 1 is a good game. It's not great. It is definitely good though. I'd probably rank it, for its time being, around everything else that came out. This is a outstandingly charming platformer, and I recommend everyone to, when the Spyro Reignited trilogy or whatever it's called comes out, I highly recommend everyone picks it up. I know I will. I'm very excited for it, because going back and playing this game and 120% in it, which is the final mark once you get all the treasure, 120% in it, I've learned that this game and all of its two sequels definitely have the charm that I feel like is missing from a lot of games that big budget games. I mean, the indie scene still has a lot of heart, but this game definitely still has that beautiful, great heart feeling to it, and it's nice and charming. I just can't wait for that remaster. Well, this has been Adam from ZoinkMeister. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my private channel if you want to see just the final reviews and scores. If not, you can still find all that stuff here on the main channel. Well, thanks everyone. See you next time.